Let's get right into it. Number 10. Shipping containers. Picture this: a giant steel Lego block sailing across the ocean, filled with rubber ducks, phone chargers, or 12,000 identical sweaters nobody asked for. Shipping containers are the unsung Tupperware of global trade, and without them, the world would be chaos. Imagine if every port still had to load bananas by hand, crate by crate. Your Amazon Prime package would arrive sometime in the next presidential term. The genius of shipping containers is stupidly simple: standardize the size. One box fits on ships, trains, trucks, and, if you're desperate, a backyard Airbnb. It's like deciding every plug in the world should finally use the same outlet. Suddenly, global trade turned from a confusing mess into a massive conveyor belt. Psychologically, we never think about them because they're too boring. They don't move on their own. They're not glamorous. They're just boxes. But these boxes quietly run the world economy. 90% of everything you've ever touched spent part of its life inside one. Your socks, your smartphone, even the chair you're sitting on right now. Congratulations, you're basically cuddling a piece of international shipping. So yeah, next time you see one of those rusty blue rectangles stacked on a truck, give it some respect. That's the backbone of civilization, disguised as industrial Jenga. Number 9. Credit scores. Here's a fun thought. Somewhere in a database, a secret 3-digit number quietly decides if you deserve a house, a car, or a life worth living. That number is your credit score, and it's basically like a Yelp review for your existence. Pay your bills late. 1 star. Forget to close that Old Navy card. 2 stars. What's wild is how much psychological manipulation is baked into it. The system wants you to behave like a responsible adult, but the definition of responsible is hilariously arbitrary. Borrow money, but not too much. Pay it back, but not too early. Open new accounts, but don't open too many. It's like being in a relationship with a needy robot that gaslights you constantly. And the kicker? Most people don't even fully understand how their score is calculated. The formula is guarded like a secret recipe, Coca-Cola, but for financial anxiety. Yet banks, landlords, and even some employers treat it like the 10 Commandments. Mess it up, and suddenly you're being charged double for car insurance because a machine decided you were reckless. In short, your credit score is this invisible puppet master pulling strings in your life. You don't see it, you barely understand it, but you're definitely dancing to its beat. Think of it as Santa Claus for adults, except instead of coal, you get denied a mortgage. Number 8. Time zones. Imagine trying to schedule a Zoom call with someone in Australia while you're in New York. That's when you realize time zones are the greatest practical joke humans ever invented. Time is supposed to be universal. Sun goes up, sun goes down. But no, we chopped the planet into 24 slices and called it a system. It's less science and more chaotic group project. Here's the kicker. Time zones aren't even neat. China, a country wider than the US, uses one time zone. That means in one corner, kids are going to school at 10 a.m. and in another, they're stumbling around in pitch darkness pretending it's morning. Meanwhile, countries like Nepal got petty and made their time zone offset by 45 minutes, just to be special. Your brain already struggles with jet lag, but time zones add this extra psychological cruelty. You're constantly recalculating. Okay, it's 3 p.m. for me, so it's tomorrow in Tokyo. Businesses, airlines, and stock markets spend billions just keeping this mess organized. So yes, while you're screaming at your computer because someone scheduled a meeting at 8 a.m. their time, remember, you're a prisoner of a system literally made up on a napkin in the 19th century. Basically, the world runs on a spreadsheet error that got out of hand. Number 7. Barcodes. You know that little zebra tattoo on every product you've ever bought? Yeah, the barcode. It's the world's most ignored art form. People scan it, beep, done. But behind that beep is a global language keeping your life from collapsing into pure chaos. Barcodes are basically product passports. Each set of lines is like a secret code telling a computer, hey, this is a family-sized box of frosted flakes, not a pack of screws. Without them, grocery shopping would be a medieval torture session. Cashiers would be forced to manually type 32-ounce ketchup bottle, Heinz tomato-based sadness sauce into a register. By the time they got through your cart, your milk would have evolved into cheese. Psychologically, barcodes trick us into forgetting that stores are actually hyper-organized warehouses. The fact that you can wander into Target and find 600 nearly identical pens, all sorted, tracked and ready to go, is thanks to those boring little lines. And the system is so efficient that your local store can tell when one pack of gum is missing. Seriously, barcodes have become the tattletales of capitalism, so next time you hear that little beep, know this. That sound is the heartbeat of consumer society. Without it, your shopping trip would look less like a checkout line and more like a flea market run by chaos demons. Number 6. Traffic lights. Green means go, red means stop, yellow means panic, slam the brakes or floor it, depending on how late you are. Traffic lights are one of those inventions you never think about until one breaks, and then society basically goes full Lord of the Flies. The weird thing is, traffic lights are basically psychological babysitters for adults. We all know the rules of the road, but the second you remove that little glowing orb in the sky, drivers suddenly forget how to function. It's like watching Sims characters try to cross an intersection without programming. And the design is hilariously blunt. 3 colors, that's it. Imagine if more of life had traffic light rules, like relationships. Sorry, honey, the light's red. No talking about your ex tonight. Or at work. Green light? Yes, you can eat someone else's lunch from the fridge. But here's the spooky part. The world has a kind of traffic light dependency syndrome. Cities literally grind to a halt if the system glitches. The synchronization between thousands of lights is a hidden nervous system for urban life. It's not glamorous, it's not fancy, but it's why you're not still sitting in a gridlocked intersection from 2006. So yeah, respect the lights. They're not just glowing circles. They're the difference between civilization and Mad Max. Number 5. Data centers. Ah yes, the mythical cloud. Everyone stores their photos, emails and embarrassing middle school fan fiction in the cloud. But spoiler alert, the cloud is just a giant warehouse full of computers humming away like caffeinated beehives. Data centers are the closest thing humanity has to a digital brain. These buildings quietly run everything, your Netflix binges, your banking apps, your grandma's Candy Crush account. If one fried overnight, you'd wake up in a world where Google Maps doesn't exist and civilization collapses because nobody remembers how to get anywhere without their phone yelling at them. The psychology of it is hilarious too. People imagine the cloud as some mystical, floaty thing in the sky. Nope. It's racks of servers in windowless bunkers that look like IKEA if IKEA was run by robots. And these things suck up so much electricity, some small countries use less power than a single data center. Basically, your memes are contributing to global warming. Congrats. So while you're doom scrolling at 2 a.m., just remember, some anonymous building in Ohio is sweating bullets to make sure you can keep watching raccoon videos. The cloud isn't magical. It's the most high-maintenance house pet humanity ever adopted. Number 4. Sewers. Let's take a moment to appreciate the world's least glamorous hero, the sewer system. Every time you flush, you're basically outsourcing your problems to an underground labyrinth that's older, smarter, and stinkier than you realize. Without it, Modern cities would turn into Renaissance festivals of disease within, about 3 hours. Sewers are like the backstage crew of civilization. You never see them, but they keep the whole show from falling apart. They're also a quiet psychological comfort. Think about it. If every time you flushed, you had to personally carry that situation outside, we'd all be very different people. Whole careers would vanish. Romance would cease to exist. Humanity would just give up. And the scale is insane. There are literally thousands of miles of tunnels under major cities. Some are big enough to drive trucks through, while others are just rat-sized slip and slides. They manage everything from rainwater to, well, your burrito aftermath. It's the most democratic system on Earth. Rich or poor, everyone's waste gets equal VIP treatment. So yeah, the next time you smugly press that toilet handle and walk away, remember you're participating in one of the most essential hidden systems on the planet. Civilization doesn't run on politics or money, it runs on pipes. Number 3. Air traffic control. Flying feels magical. You sit in a metal tube, drink tomato juice, for some reason, and then land in another city like it's no big deal. But behind that magic is a small army of stressed-out voices on radios, making sure your plane doesn't accidentally play bumper cars at 600 miles per hour. Air traffic controllers are like real-life dungeon masters. They know where every plane is, where it's going, and how to make sure 2 giant aluminum birds don't try to kiss mid-air. The whole system is so invisible you forget it's happening. But if it stopped for even a couple of hours, skies would look like a toddler tossed a box of toy planes across the room. Psychologically, it's kind of wild that passengers are blissfully clueless. You're sipping ginger ale, watching a movie, while somewhere a controller is juggling 15 pilots, all asking for permission to land, refuel or cry. And because of them, 45,000 flights a day in the US alone don't end in a game of aerial twister. So yeah, when your flight's delayed and you're cursing the universe, just remember, the universe is actually working overtime to stop planes from becoming awkward headlines. Air traffic control is the invisible referee keeping the world's most dangerous game running smoothly. Number 2, weather forecasting. You've probably complained about it. They said it would be sunny. Why am I drenched like a sad sponge? But here's the thing. Weather forecasting is basically sorcery wrapped in math. A network of satellites, radar towers, and supercomputers works 24/7 just to tell you whether to grab an umbrella. The scale is ridiculous. They measure wind speeds in the middle of the ocean, humidity over deserts, and storm systems the size of countries, all so Karen can plan her barbecue. And while the forecasts aren't perfect, they're insanely better than they used to be. A 5-day forecast in the 1950s was about as accurate as asking your cat for advice. Now, they're often spot on. The psychological kicker is how much we depend on it without noticing. Airlines, farmers, shipping companies, even sports events. Everything hinges on knowing if clouds are about to have a meltdown. And yet, all most people do is grumble when the weatherman is slightly off. In short, forecasting is a hidden life support system that quietly prevents economic disasters and ruined picnics. But sure, roll your eyes when the meteorologist says 40% chance of rain. That 40% is backed by enough science to make Einstein sweat. Number 1. Global undersea cables. All right, here's the big one. You might think the internet runs on satellites, beaming cat videos and conspiracy theories from outer space. But nope. 95% of all global data actually slithers through a bunch of fiber optic cables lying at the bottom of the ocean. Yep, the world's memes, money, and awkward text messages are basically fish neighbors. These undersea cables are ridiculously fragile. They're about the thickness of a garden hose, stretching thousands of miles across the ocean floor, and yet they're carrying trillions of dollars worth of stock trades, video calls, and Netflix streams every single day. Sharks have bitten them, anchors have snapped them, and in at least one case, a country's entire internet connection went down because a farmer's plow hit a cable on shore. Yes, civilization was derailed by farming equipment. The psychology here is almost unsettling. We act like the internet is this untouchable, futuristic grid, but it's really a spaghetti bowl of wires that need constant babysitting. If too many of them broke at once, we'd be flung back into the 1980s. No TikTok, no Google Maps. You'd have to physically ask strangers for directions like some kind of medieval peasant. So next time you're scrolling at 3 a.m. and the Wi-Fi cuts out, don't blame your router. Somewhere in the depths of the Atlantic, a cable might be quietly holding together the last shred of modern civilization. Basically, the internet is just very fancy fish wiring. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.